Okay, so today we're going to talk about adding and subtracting fractions, and I've got some steps labeled out. Hopefully it's coming back a little bit to us in class, but our steps are, the first thing you want to do is find a common denominator between the two fractions. Now, you only do this for adding and subtracting. You do not have to find a common denominator when you're multiplying and dividing. Just remember that those two things are very different. Adding and subtracting, our first thing is we want to find a common denominator. After that, you can add or subtract the numerators, whichever one it is you're supposed to be doing, and then you simplify the new fraction. So let's work through a couple of examples here. This first example, I've got 1/12 plus 2/3. So I'm going to think about what is probably the lowest common denominator that I can have. That's what we kind of use as a term, a lowest common denominator. You can think of that as also your least common multiple between the two numbers. So if you think back to how you found least common multiple, you can think of the different multiples of these numbers and find the smallest one that they would have in common. In this case, we're looking at our numbers 12 and 3, and I'm noticing that I can actually use 12 as a denominator here, and I'll talk about how we can do that. If I want to, this one already has a denominator of 12, so I don't need to change it. This one right here, in order to make that 3, or that 3 into a 12, all I would have to do is multiply it by a 4. Now, remember that everything that you do to the bottom of the fraction, you've also got to do it to the top to balance it off. So my new fractions here, I'm going to have 1/12, that's not going to change, and I'm going to add 2 times 4 gives you 8, 3 times 4, that gave us the 12 that we wanted. Okay, my next one, remember that my first step was to get those common denominators. Now I want to add my numerators. So 1 plus 8 gives you 9, you still have 12 in the denominator. And when I simplify this, I notice that 3 can go into both 9 and 12. So 3 goes into 9 3 times, and into 12 4 times. So our answer here, in the most simplified form, is 3/4. This next one's a little bit more complicated because we have mixed numbers, but it's going to be the same process. However, the first one, you're going to want to still find common denominators. So what I'm going to do with these pretty nice little mixed numbers, I'm going to go ahead and stack these guys on top of each other. So I'm going to say I have 3 1/2. I want to subtract 2 1/3. Now, in order to do this, again, I have to get common denominators. Now, this can be a little bit of a pain, but it's not too bad. Honestly, the easiest way to do it, my least common denominator here, I can make it 3. In order to make the denominator 3 here, I had to 6. I had to multiply by 3. I was thinking multiplying by 3. I'm going to have to multiply by 3 to get our least common denominator, which would have been 6, okay? To multiply by 3 on the bottom, then I can multiply by 3 on the top, just to balance it off. On this fraction down here, if I want to make my denominator 6, I've got to multiply by 2 on the bottom. And when I do it on the bottom, I've got to do it on the top as well. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite what my fraction is. And so if I rewrite this, I can have 3 1, nope, I'm lying. 3 1 times 3 gives you 3 in the numerator here. 2 times 3 gives you 6 in the denominator. Subtracting 2, 1 times 2 gives you 2. 3 times 2 gives you 6. So we've got nice, pretty common denominators here. Now, if I want to subtract, I'm looking at these fractions first. Remember, anytime you subtract ever, you're going to start on your far right side, and you're going to work your way left. So again, we're doing that here too. You're going to think of 3/6 minus 2/6 is going to give you 1/6. Then you're going to say 3 minus 2 gives you the 1, and you're good to go here. So your answer would have been 1 1/6. Okay. So that's one way to do these with the mixed numbers. There's another way to do it. I think this is the most common, but I can go ahead and work out the other way as well. I'm going to go ahead and write our answer down, make sure that, you know, what we get matches what we got here. I'm going to erase all this work. I'm going to show you the other way to do it. Another way to do it is to go ahead and change everything over to improper fractions, then subtract, or then to get your common denominators and then subtract and change them back over to mixed numbers. So it's a little bit more work. However, you know, it still gives you a correct answer in the end. In order to do this, I would be thinking of changing my mixed number back to an improper fraction. So I've got to think of 2 times 3 gives me 6, plus 1 gives me 7, so I'd have 7 over 2. Minus 3 times 2 gives you 6, plus the 1 gives you 7 over 3. Okay, so we've got things as improper fractions. Let's get a common denominator. In order to do that, I can multiply, I'm just going to use this color right here. I can multiply on top and bottom here by 3 to get 6. Same process as kind of what we did before. So multiplying by 3 on the top and the bottom. On this one, if I want to get 6 in the denominator, I'm going to have to multiply by 2 on the top and the bottom. Okay. And then I'm going to end up with 7 times 3 gives me 21. 2 times 3 gives me 6. Minus 7 times 2 gives you 14. 6 on the bottom. So when I subtract here, I'm going to end up getting 21 minus 14 gives me 7. You're going to leave it over 6. And then if I change this back to an improper fraction, not improper fraction, it's already an improper fraction. If I want to change it back over to a mixed number, I'm going to think 6 goes into 7 one time with 1 left over. So I would have also got it this way. So that's just 2 different ways to work the same problem. Whatever works for you. I honestly don't care how you do it as long as you get the correct answer in the end. And honestly, however your brain sees it, that's how I want you to work it. A couple more problems down here. I have 7/3 plus 6/11. If I'm going to do this, I'm going to have to find a common denominator again. The easiest one I'm going to be able to do is think of your least common multiples here. And guys, if you need to think of your least common multiples, do it. Start listing out multiples. So multiples of 3 would be 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30, 33. I'm going to do my 11s and see what I come to if I find any of these that are in my 11s. 11, 22, 33. Well, magically, 33 works out. So I would want my denominator to end up being 33. It's going to give me the, that's the lowest that my denominator can be. And I won't have to simplify so much at the end if I have to at all. So that's why we want to kind of stick with our lowest common denominator. The lowest one we would be able to pick is because it should make our job easier in the long run. So we end up getting where it would be 33. So let's make that denominator 33. In order to do that, I need to multiply on top and bottom of this fraction by 11 and multiply on top and bottom of this fraction by 3. So my first fraction, I'm going to end up with 77 over 11. My second, or not 11, over 33. Because 3 times 11 gives you 33. Then this one I'm doing 6 times 3 gives us 18. Over 11 times 3 gives you 33. Now I'm going to add these guys together. 77 plus 18 would have given us, let's think, 87. I'm going to go up to 95. That sounds about right to me. Let me double check that really quick before I keep going so I'm not like doing anything wrong. Yep, okay. 95 Alright, and then from there, I'm just going to divide my 33 into the 95. So, and if you need to do that over to the side, you're welcome to, guys. It's not a big deal. With these bigger numbers, sometimes it's going to help you out. So think 33 goes into 95. Let's try 2 times. 2 times 33 gives you 66. We have left over. I'm going to have to end up borrowing. We get 15 here. Get 9. Yep. So we had 33 goes into 95 2 times with 29 out of 33 left over. And that is not going to simplify any further. It's as beautiful as it's going to get. So that's going to be your final answer. Okay, and let's do one more here. I have 7 17ths minus 3 34ths. And so again, I have to find a common denominator. So guys, again, if you are having trouble seeing them, go ahead and list out your multiples. I'm going to list out multiples of 17. 17 plus 17 gives you 34. Oh, look how pretty that is. Our multiples of 34, I mean, we start off with 34. So we can make it that nice 34. Not a big deal. I'm going to multiply on top and bottom of here by 2 in order to get that to be the way I want it to be. So I'm going to end up with 7 times 2 gives you 14 over 34 minus, and I don't have to change my second fraction at all. 14 minus 3 gives you 11, and 34 stays the same. That's not going to simplify at all, so we're done. It's as pretty as it's going to be, and you don't have to do any more work. So I hope this has helped a little bit with the adding and subtracting. Guys, remember, adding and subtracting is extremely different from the multiplying and dividing. Remember, multiplying and dividing, you always have to change those mixed numbers over to improper fractions. You've always got to, if you're dividing, you've got to multiply by the reciprocal and all that fun stuff. But with the adding and subtracting, we have to find a common denominator. That's your first step. And that's something you do not have to do for the multiplying and dividing. So just make sure you have those things straight, have them separate, because they're very different things. You can't do the same method for adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing, because they're all different operations, okay? They don't work the same. So just make sure that you have them all straight. And if I need to do a video that's separating out all the differences, I can do that too. You just need to let me know, okay? So hope this helps. Good luck.